I don't want you to go because I want to see you more. It's almost like a kind of like a selfish way, unfortunately. But a lot of us are thinking from a selfish standpoint. You're not thinking from a, oh, they have billions of dollars to make for Korea and they're so valuable that you should just, they should be exempt. I'm thinking from a fan point where I'm like, no, I want to see you. I want you to make music. I want to be able to see your V lives and I want to see you interacting and in that type of way. Let's say Rosé. Between Rosé and Jisoo, but I'm leaning more towards Rosé. Okay, so I don't be too far off. Shit again. I'm the type of girl that everybody type, never tap, tap, tap what everybody like. You can check my steps, got everybody's side. What is up, YouTube family? Listen, today we are jumping straight back into reactions, okay? We done had fun. We had our fun. We took a little break. It was New Year's. I had to get some things going. I had to do a lot of editing and just changing different things and introducing different things and different platforms to you guys. So now we are back. We are jumping back into reactions. And today, this video has been sitting in my playlist for a while. Okay, so I'm like, videos that have just been sitting, I need to get to this new year. Enough of the procrastinating. Like, I just need to get to the video. So this video is BTS Deserved Better. Now, I don't know what he finna get into in this video. I don't know what he's finna talk about. I don't know, like, the subjects. Like, what is he really finna get into in this video? I'm very curious. Which, we'll see. Listen, if this is your first time seeing my face, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video. Our Patreon is live and active. The description, not the description, bitch. The link is in the description. Also, I do have a Discord, and we are over there getting into some things now. We talk all the time. Okay, the people on Discord crack me up. They're funny. All we do is send clips. We send videos all day. We talk. Everyone is extremely just so sweet and just so adorable. And everybody is just like, we're just like living in this little community. So we're still a growing community over there. If you guys want the link to my Discord, it's also in the description below, right next to my Patreon link. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm eager to see. I'm eager to see, bitch. I see.
What are you worth? If someone walked up to you and asked you, how much are you worth? What would you answer? Would you be able to give them a number, a range of numbers?
I don't know, bitch.
Where would you even get those numbers from? What qualities would you draw from to value yourself against others in an implied marketplace of human beings?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Hi. Hello and welcome back to the Elliot Show. I'm wearing purple. This video is about BTS, and I am a fan of BTS, but I am here to tell you right away, this is not a K-pop channel. I am not a K-pop YouTuber. Even though I've been a BTS stan for over 3 years, I'm hardly a K-pop stan overall. I don't keep up with the industry anymore. I'm not interested in discourse. I used to run a channel with a group of friends called Baby Gang Magazine where we did K-pop and BTS commentary stuff. I'm proud of the work that we did over there. There's some stuff in those videos that I'm not super in agreement with anymore because people change and they evolve, and that's what I did. But there's also a lot of stuff that I do still like and agree with, and overall there's nothing but good memories there. But I'm ready to move on and stuff. My cat looks like she's ready to move on too because she keeps meowing in the middle of my video. Okay, with that said, do not expect BTS and K-pop commentary stuff to come from here in the future. I mean, I'll delve into stuff on occasion, but generally I'm talking about other stuff here, and hopefully you enjoy the other stuff and check it out, and if not, that's fine too. Today I'm choosing to talk about BTS because they're super duper in the news. All types of eyes are on the subject of their military enlistment. I'm going to try to address some basic information that people may be confused about, and then I'm just going to focus on two particular questions and one particular theme of the discourse surrounding this topic while giving a beginner's Marxist analysis on it. And by beginner's Marxist analysis, I do not mean an analysis for beginners. I mean I am a beginner, so please have mercy on me. Okay, let's start with the first question. What is BTS? BTS are a South Korean pop group and a collective of 7 members: RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook. They're super popular. They've toured all over the world. They're actually one of the most popular acts of our time, perhaps of all time. They've had huge records of tour sales and Billboard hits and stuff like that. They have a huge foothold in our cultural zeitgeist, and they do this through their relationship with potentially the biggest fandom in the world and potentially, arguably, its most notorious, ARMY. With full disclosure, I do belong to the ARMY. I have an ARMY ball.
No, that's right.
You know, here we go, lighting. This fandom is huge.
One day I will go to a
members of the
BTS
fandom
concert.
are extremely passionate
One
about
day.
supporting BTS
One day.
in a number of ways, including supporting their releases through purchases and streams, and also just displaying their fandom publicly on social media, not only as a way to sort of signal visibility for the group and the fandom, but also to connect with other fans and make friends. Why are BTS so popular? Because people like them. Why have they enlisted in the military? Okay, so as I talked about in a short I posted a few days ago, the South Korean government mandates that every man between the ages of 18 and 35 must enlist in the military for either 18, 20, or 21 months. This typically happens before the age of 28, but citizens can postpone military enlistment with permission from the government. This is something that Jin from BTS did recently because he reached age and he received that postponement. But yeah, he recently decided to enlist, and BTS announced that they would all enlist. And this comes after years of the South Korean government essentially publicly teasing them and their fans with the prospect of exemption from military service. Now, exemptions are kind of infrequent. They occur on recommendation of the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, usually for award-winning athletes and classical musicians, since those are positions that are held as being important for the country's global cultural status. It's worth noting that these military exemptions do not entail completely avoiding service for the military. Rather, it's enlisting into alternative services. So a good example of this would be the footballer Son Heung-min, who's one of the most popular footballers in the world. He and his whole South Korean national team got military exemption after winning a gold medal at the 2018 Asian Games. As a result, his duties entailed just a month of basic training, as well as a series of different community service tasks that he'll be fulfilling until 2023. So he's still doing stuff. It's just not stuff that's going to put his career on pause for almost 2 years. Now, the Ministry of Sports, Tourism, was holding a lot of different polls among the South Korean populace and forums amongst itself to talk about whether or not BTS should be exempted. It was an ongoing topic for a long time because of how popular BTS is and how much they were bringing to the economy, which is something we're going to talk about later. Now, a notorious turning point in that situation was the recent Busan Expo bid. To help make its case with the Bureau International des Expositions to host a World Expo in the city of Busan in 2030, the South Korean government essentially pushed BTS and their parent corporation HYBE to host a free concert in the city, which is something that BTS had spoken about in the past as wanting to do in general, a free concert for the fans. The government's like, all right, cool, do it for us, please, right now. Now, HYBE put out a statement confirming this was essentially the case. They were to pay for any expenses of the concert that was not going to be covered by funds received from sponsorships and related products, and also notably confirming that BTS themselves would not be paid for the concert. Regardless of your opinion of their music, their position, their image, their fans, I'm sure you can agree, I'm sure we all agree that BTS concerts take a significant amount of effort, especially by the boys themselves, but also for an entire staff. This free concert included brand new elaborate choreography, new lyrics, super difficult vocal performances, and so on. So the fact that BTS were going to be doing this for free probably strikes you as alarming. Yeah, these guys are rich, but forcing them to do extremely difficult and sensitive things for free at the whims of their government is exploitation, pretty blatantly. More on this later.
Yep.
And the fulcrum of this exploitation is the dangling carrot of exemption. BTS doing this gains them little positive press anyway, because they're supposed to do this. Even though they publicly have always said that they're ready to do their military service as part of their citizen duty, the view would be also that them just doing this would be just part of them trying to get that exemption. Whereas if they didn't do it, the government could easily use this as a way to slam dunk them into oblivion. You're the pride of our country and you won't even represent us on a national stage. What kind of treachery and all types of stuff, and they should be on the first plane. They should be flying military jets. Forget an exemption. They should be out there shooting people. But even though BTS took on all this unpaid labor and pressure, the government still refused to give an answer as to whether or not BTS would receive military exemption for doing this. And so, right after putting on this hugely successful free concert in the middle of the night, after markets had closed and after publications had gone home for the night, BTS announced they'd be enlisting after all, starting with the eldest member Jin this month, October. It's a bold choice from a group that's made bold choices before. This exemption issue was present even while the South Korean government was headed by the more liberal Moon Jae-in, who was kind of like the Obama of South Korea. And that makes the newly elected far-right Yoon Suk-yeol kind of more like a... Who was the guy who came after Obama again? And BTS fairly left-leaning social messages in a lot of their songs throughout their career. A recent subunit record called Strange by RM and Suga features lyrics talking about the perils of capitalism. One of the coolest, subtlest parts of the concert was BTS performing My City, a popular B-side from 2015. The chorus's refrain of "Come to my city," pretty on the nose, okay? Come to my city, come to Busan, right? And of course there is a notable lyric in the pre-chorus that is celebrating Busan because a couple of the members of the group are from Busan and the song is about being proud of your city. But the song also has some sneaky based lyrics in there, particularly a line by J-Hope where he references the leftist Gwangju uprising, which was against conservative dictator Chun Doo-hwan, who the President Yoon, has actually defended in the past. The Chola province where J-Hope is from and Gwangju where he's from is in. That's a sentence. Has historically always been a left-leaning area. When J-Hope recites the line, "If you want to see me, gather around at 7 o'clock," he's referring to Gwangju by military time with the time location thing, which is a thing that specifically is popular amongst far-right people, part of a forum called Ilbe, which is notorious in South Korea. They use this term because it refers to Gwangju by military time, because get it, when the Gwangju uprising happened, the military, which was sent out by the martial law government, massacred a bunch of people, and that was how they would have referred to Gwangju by military time. It's great. So J-Hope's reappropriating that as a sarcastic, prideful comment, and then says everyone press 062518, which refers to the uprising, which occurred on May 18th, 518. So the line is basically J-Hope saying, "To hell with the far-right incels, I'm proud of my city, I'm proud of our struggle." And he recited this line proudly in front of, the entire city of Busan for this thing that they were doing for this government, which the far-right government was pressuring them into doing. Of course, they accepted it, but it was still very much pressure by this far-right government. It's him claiming that. And yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty cool statement. Okay, should BTS have been exempted? So BTS's choice to enlist has understandably sparked a lot of negativity toward the government, both domestically and internationally. There's a viral TikTok going around criticizing the government for this, which amassed over 1 million likes in just like a couple days.
So then it's 2022, they announced that they're actually going on a hiatus. And while we're all freaking out, the South Korean economy starts to plummet. And that's when the South Korean government truly realizes the power that BTS has on their economy. So they suggest that BTS hosts a free concert in Busan where they will assess their true impact. And based on that, they will see if they'll grant them a military exemption. So while the government is trying to decide whether or not they're going to grant them the exception, BTS's company drops this official announcement where it says that the boys have decided that they will fulfill their mandatory military service. They got tired of the government just playing around with their future, so they decided
That's what
to
it
take
kind
it
of
into their
sounds
own
like.
hands. And in the process, they embarrassed their politics.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like, okay, well, we're gonna teeter totter back and forth. We're gonna do this concert, and if you meet our expectations, then we will grant you an exemption. Like we don't have no time for the bullshit. Either you're gonna grant us the exemption or you're fucking not. The whole playing with people's careers and futures, and 1 minute we doing it, next minute we not. I would feel the same exact way. Like, man, just put the fucking statement out. Just put the statement out. Because what are we doing? I don't have no time for this. There is money to be made. We got people to take care of. Like, we do not have time for this bullshit. Either you're going to give us an exemption or you're gonna enlist us. But the whole playing with us and seeing if we can meet your expectations and all that other bullshit, to me is just like a waste of fucking time.
Much of the conversation has been about whether or not BTS should have gotten this exemption that the government was dangling in front of them. A lot of people are saying that they should have been exempted, with the primary reason that they are clearly very valuable for the country's economy and soft power. First of all, I want to say that I kind of disagree with the assertion that the government hadn't recognized the economic power of BTS, particularly the TikToker Jackie's assertion that their hiatus announcement this summer caused the economy to plummet, which was then like a wake-up call for the government about their economic power. In reality, the economy and the stock markets have been declining for a while now, and volatility has been increasing. And that's due to a ton of macroeconomic and market-based circumstances. To my understanding, it was really only the K-pop sector and especially HYBE that plummeted when that announcement was made. Now, some people have said, well, this is super important for the Korean economy because HYBE is owned partially by the National Pension Fund, and so the National Pension Fund lost all this money. Look, the Korean National Pension Fund is a top shareholder of basically all of the blue chip publicly listed stocks in South Korea, not just HYBE. And that's basically its job. It's not just careless trust in HYBE's valuation on a day-to-day basis. Pension funds exist in a lot of countries, with some like the United States being divided into a number of different private firms, and some like the Netherlands, Japan, and South Korea, which are mostly centralized. They invest in assets because assets appreciate over time. I hate using these capitalist rules of how things work, but they gain value over time because of the way that markets work. This allows them to gain value over time as firms, and that allows them to save money and give money to people for their pensions, as opposed to just keeping the money in one place where it would depreciate over time because of inflation. And also, more money, yay. I won't get into the details of how this stabilizes and the ethics of this right now, but I'll say that this is why whenever the market crashes, one of the main social concerns is that people won't be able to retire, or they're going to lose a lot of value in their retirement funds. During the 2008 recession, the United States' 401ks and IRAs lost about $2.4 trillion in the final 2 quarters of 2008, and the average loss that year for workers who had been on the job for 20 years was, according to one estimate, about 25%, according to The Atlantic. Because these are long-term investments, individual stocks losing value over a week or a month or even a year is not going to have much effect on the overall fund. I wish I didn't have to clarify this, but BTS can't crash the South Korean economy just by being inactive. Macroeconomic factors like global pandemics and wars and hyperinflation will do the trick just fine. That aside, it's no secret to anybody that BTS generate a ton of money. And with that, it's still kind of shocking to see just how much money. There's this Fortune article that's been disseminating in the wake of this news across social media, which notes that BTS is contributing more than $3.6 billion to the South Korean economy every year, equivalent to the contribution of 26 mid-sized companies. That being said, okay, they are very, very valuable, but I'm generally kind of uncomfortable with the way that this is made the focal point of discussing BTS's exemption and their value in general. Can one's value in society solely be determined by the monetary value associated with what they produce and sell? In which case, why would pop stars and entertainers and actors
but that's
not
just
be
how
the first
it
in
is,
line in
how it
general
is.
to get exemptions over second string athletes on a gold medal winning team or classical musicians? I mean, who listens to classical music anyway? This is where I want to conclude by talking briefly about some Marxist ideas of value. Marx once famously said that capital is dead labor, that vampire-like only lives by sucking living labor and lives the more labor it sucks. This concept comes from what he identifies as a necessitated exploitation of capitalism. Marx establishes that a commodity, which is a good or service produced by human labor and provided as a product for sale in the market, has different types of value. There's an economic value, which means the socially necessary labor it embodies, meaning basically the average time taken to produce a commodity with average skill and tools. Then there's a use value, meaning the value a commodity provides to the buyer in a tangible sense. And then the exchange value, meaning the proportionate value a commodity has in exchange with other commodities, which we can usually roughly correspond to money. So to give some examples, the economic value, or just like the value of a commodity, would be like how much labor it takes to make a pair of chunky boots. That would be the value of that pair of chunky boots. The use value would be how tangibly useful that pair of chunky boots is to any buyer. So to one buyer, they won't be very useful because they don't like the way that they look, the shape of them, and they don't really have that much interest in getting taller. They feel tall enough. Whereas another buyer might like the way it makes them look taller and like the shape of the boot. So it has more use value for that buyer. The exchange value would be the proportion of how valuable those boots are if someone were to sell them. The exchange value, though, is different from price, and that price is something that you can name independent of anything. You can basically put any price to anything, and it can be successfully sold at any price. But just because you sold the chunky boots for $500 does not mean that those chunky boots were worth $500. And what we often do is try to figure out what the exchange value is, but it's compared sometimes to like determining exact temperature. Like this room has an exact temperature. We know it has an exact temperature, but there's nothing I can do to get it because it's constantly changing and it's extremely nuanced. It's extremely fine. So I might figure out that it's like 67 degrees, but that's just a rough estimate. So what does this have to do with BTS? Well, we're so far removed from Marxist time to the point that commodities are almost entirely redefined and necessitatively fetishized, and our global economy is, as Guy Debord would say, a spectacle. Music is a key part of human interaction, and yet it, like everything else, has become commoditized, albeit awkwardly. This is all beside the fact that all of our definitions of value are related to commodities. And so therefore, the very act of saying a human being has a certain value is in fact an act of commoditizing them. If we're to say BTS is worth $3 billion to the South Korean economy, all we're essentially saying is that BTS are a commodity which generates a certain amount of exchange value for South Korean businesses, which its economic system is pillared by, and thus its social structures are tied to. If we're to say BTS are to be exempt from the military because they're too valuable as opposed to other South Korean men, what we're saying is that BTS are a better commodity than other South Korean men because they produce far more and therefore create far more surplus for the capitalist class with far less necessary product involved. So what would you do if you had a gold machine? A machine that could produce gold super quickly, like way quicker than it would take you to get gold anyway else. Would you say produce a couple of gold bars every couple of months or so and use them to buy basic needs, get your basic needs covered, buy a few pizzas every month, take a vacation every year and just be chill with that? Or would you say produce as much gold as possible with your gold machine? You would produce as much gold as possible. You would have that machine working, producing gold every single day because you are following the capitalist rule that dictates that your time spent not producing with this extremely valuable thing is time lost because of all the capital that you can gain from producing all that gold. Who's going to stop you? Who's going to stop you from selling all that gold and becoming extremely rich? If the machine breaks from overuse, well, you can just wait and get a new one, or maybe you don't even have to. But if you would like to get a new one, you can probably get like 20 new ones with all the gold, you just sold and made a ton of money off of. The health of the machine is irrelevant. It is a machine. But what happens when the machine is a person? Look, when we're friends, when we're fans, when we're family members, we root for each other. And we root for each other oftentimes when we're making money, when we're moving up the financial ladder in a company, when we are owning new things, when we're just, coming into our bags. And that's normal and it's a part of empathy, but it's also a bit sad because it's indicative that we're stuck. The idea of getting these new things, these bags and this higher value is not only tantalizing, it's indicative that those things are valuable, nay, most important in our society. When we see people we care for moving up the ladder, we can't help but feel glad for them, even though ultimately we're still all made it. But what good is being valuable when you are still ultimately dehumanized under capitalism. It's understandable, okay? Understandably, we can overlook the struggles of people that we consider petit bourgeois, whether it be small business owners or actors or singers or streamers. We see that they're so much higher up the ladder than us and that they have so much more money and esteem and so many more comforts than we do. They can pay for all the things we can't pay for. We can overlook BTS's struggles because they're rich. Who cares if they had to do something for free? They make a whole ton of money, way more money than other people would see. They've got stakes in a company that is very valuable, you know? But what good is being rich when you're still an exploited laborer? When you're still performing labor every moment of your day, practically. Despite BTS being as successful as they are, their days still consist of constant labor, from performances to practices, to media appearances, to independent content creation. And this supposedly nascent value that they have as humans can be taken away from them at any moment. Even their private moments are not guaranteed to them. Under that threat, they are paralyzed, forced to continue meeting the demands of the capitalist class and of capitalism overall, more specifically, in order to avoid destruction. Let me articulate that a bit more. The capitalist class is not a dude in a suit. It's not a president. It's not a CEO of a company you don't like. The capitalist class is just the people orchestrating capitalism. But capitalism is the capitalist class. The capitalist class are just enacting its whims. Under capitalism, we can argue that BTS should be exempt from the military because they're too valuable for the capital that they can provide. But by enlisting, BTS seem to have decided to make a decision that is not based inherently on living up to a capitalist ideal. Maybe they're making a decision based on their own health. Maybe they'd rather just be out of the public eye, sweeping some floors or doing push-ups or something. Maybe being away from this economy that they're forced to contribute to
almost like
isn't
a break
so
in
bad.
a sense.
Maybe making a decision based in their humanity is all that matters. In that way, BTS teach us a valuable lesson about our roles in society. Sometimes we need to choose our values over our value. Are you interested in how capitalism burns BTS out or, burns you out? Well, you should check out our video, How Capitalism Burns You Out, in which I talk about another South Korean person, Byung-Chul Han.
Okay, that's it. Listen, I really didn't want to talk really that much through the entire video because I wanted to be able to listen to what he was saying. I almost agree and disagree in the same sense because I get what he means when he says, yeah, BTS makes way too much money for the country of Korea to even be able to enlist because they got shit that they have to do. I totally get that. And then another part is they have obligations, whether they were these big, huge celebrities and they were making the country a lot of money, or whether it starts from the little man working a regular 9-to-5. Everyone has obligations, unfortunately. I do not like the fact that they have to serve in the military because they are my fave. They're my faves. So I hate it. When I first heard it, I was like, no. This stan in me was like, no. But after a while, I sat back and I thought, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it's something that I know it's something that they have to do, but what if, I'm looking at it from a different angle, not on a spectrum of, oh, don't go because you have to make money. My opinion was coming from a fan place, more so I don't want you to go because I want to see you more. It's almost kind of a selfish way, unfortunately. But a lot of us are thinking from a selfish standpoint. You're not thinking from they have billions of dollars to make for Korea and they're so valuable that you should just, they should be exempt. I'm thinking from a fan point where I'm like, no, I want to see you. I want you to make music. I want to be able to see your V lives and I want to see you interacting and in that type of way. that selfish type of fan way where it's like, no, I want to be able to see you. I don't want you to go away for a year and a half, and I don't want that. When he started talking about the whole, what if they decided to do it for their own peace of mind, basically, like for health reasons, or maybe I just want to take a break. Now, are they really taking a break if you go into the military? Yes and no, because technically you're stepping away from the limelight. Yeah, you can still probably post on social media. You can be a little active and stuff like that. You might record some things prior to the military and then it comes out while you're enlisted. But technically you are stepping away from the limelight. You're going in and you're doing these services and these duties, and you're probably training and doing a whole bunch of military shit, some shit that you never thought that you would probably do. But you've kind of stepped back from that spotlight, that celebrity beam, that microscope that people have you under. And now you're stepping back and you're putting on your military gear, and you're looked at more so as like a, I don't want to say a civilian, but kind of like a civilian a little bit. Now, I don't know if they give special treatment to celebrities who go to the army in these different countries. I don't know if they literally do treat them like a civilian. I don't know if they have special, you know what I mean? Special things that they do, or they allow them to do certain things that they don't allow the regular civilian man that does 9 to 5. I don't know how it works. But that's really interesting that if you look at it from that aspect, they might want to go because just fucking sign me up. Get me away from this for a little bit. Yes, I'm going to miss my fans. Yes, I'm going to miss making music. Yes, I'm going to miss performing. But I think that we need to step back from the limelight and just take a fucking break. They wanted to take a break anyway. They've been working for how long? So when you look at it from that aspect, it does make sense to where they're like, you know what? Let's just do it. We was supposed to take a break. We were supposed to take a break way back in the gap. Like before COVID hit, we were supposed to take a break. It just so happened that Dynamite popped off. And then we had to keep running. So it makes sense when you look at it from that aspect. I don't know, man. I don't know. At the end of the day, no, we do not want BTS to go. It's really, really unfortunate. Jin is already there, and it's like, I know that I've seen the pictures. I've seen some little videos of them sending him off. I know they were sick. I know BTS was sick that Jin had to go. But if it was me and I was in a group and they were like, you have to enlist in the military, bitch, I would want to be the first one to go. I would want to get that shit done and over with. Please sign me up and get me the fuck out of here so I can get it finished, get it done. I would hate to be the last person. I feel for Jungkook. I feel for Jungkook because he most likely will be the last, because he's a baby. He will most likely be the last person to enlist in the military because he's the youngest. But I would want to be the first one on that bus and get the hell out of Dodge. Hurry up, do that military, do that enlistment, and come home so I can drop right back into working, jump right back into interacting with my fans, and just start putting great music out. So unfortunately, they have to go, and we don't want them to go. I know I do not want my faves to go. Sugar and Jimin, I'm going to be sick. Bitch, I'm going to be sick. Ooh, wee. I'm gonna be so sad. Bitch, I might cry. I'm gonna be so sad. But I know that they have to do it. They have obligations. Everybody has obligations. And unfortunately, sometimes, even though you do have a lot of money and you may have a lot of stock and you may have a lot of value, sometimes you still have obligations. Sometimes you still have contractual agreements. You still have obligations. There's still shit that you got to do, whether you are a celebrity or not. It's just how the fucking world works, especially when you're in a country like that. Yeah, man, it is tough. So if all of the other groups have to do it, regardless of how much BTS is worth, regardless of how much they are worth and how much they mean to the country of Korea, if all of the other groups have to go ahead and do their military service, then BTS has to go and do their military service. Because I know on the other side, they probably like, I don't want people thinking that we think that we're like better than the other groups who who had to do military, because we're not. Yeah, we make a lot of money for Korea, but we're not better than anybody else. We're not too good to enlist, and I think that definitely shows a lot of humility. So where they're like, you know what, just fucking sign us up. Just get us the fuck out of here. Just go home and sign us up. That shit, that's insane. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. Some days I'll be like, no, please don't go. And other days I'm like, I get it. I understand. So I don't know. This was a really good video. I love, I think this is this might be the second video I've watched of his. This might be the second one I watched of his. He does really, really good commentary on his videos. Shout out to him. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Patreon link is down in the description below. Again, Discord link is down in the description below. And I will see you guys in the next reaction video. Bye.